Hello, my name is Cole Smith. I'm here doing current event summary number 9. Um, the question is, if you owned a trucking company, would you utilize company drivers or owner-operators? In a perfect world, you would have a mix of both, just because if you simply stick to one area, or I say area like employment pool, one pool of employees, then you lose the ability to choose the most optimal person for the job. Because some people just prefer to have their own truck, prefer to make their own modifications, have their own specs, have their own gaming system, the APU, all that stuff. So if I had to choose one, though, I would do company drivers for sure. Just simply because I think the pros outweigh the cons. I think the pros are more valuable for employees than independent contractors, I should say. I think that you can, with the more control that you have over employees, you set their schedules, plan their routes, and most importantly, in my opinion, you ensure consistent service quality. If you only employ, independent contractors, then there's really no guarantee that they'll represent your brand the way you want them to. Just because they have no real connection or tie to your company other than a paycheck, so they're only you only pay them to get it there. You don't pay them to talk good about your company or make sure that they're going to buy from your company again. That it doesn't really matter to them, because at the end of the day, if your company has a bad image, that doesn't really bother them, because they can just they can just go somewhere else. And that leads to my next point. It helps build your company image, like I said. If you can have a set procedure for your employees in regards to customer service, it makes it a lot easier to maintain a positive image, because even not everybody is very socially in tune, if you know what I mean. I'm not a very social person myself, so I can understand. But if you at least have a script to follow, it makes it a lot easier, even if you're not very socially adept. And it's just easier compliance all around. You can set safety standards. You can make sure that the truck is maintained. You can make sure that they're not breaking the law with their logs, all that stuff. You actually have power over the person driving the truck, instead of just paying the dude to get it there. There are some cons, though. It is a higher cost, and if you want, hiring employees means that you have more control. So if you have more control, that does mean you have to be more hands-on. So that would mean you have more, your management is under more stress. But there's not in there. Not to say there's not pros to independent contractors. It is a lower cost, because you just pay them for one job instead of having them on a payroll. And they have a very flexible schedule, so they kind of schedule themselves. So if you can schedule them, then they can probably fit you in pretty easily. And if not, then they could very easily just cancel on somebody else if you're paying them more. So if you wanted to slide them a couple more bands just to have them deliver for you, that is something you could do. I'm assuming, I'm not speaking from experience or anything. And if you have an independent contractor with their own truck, they're going to be more comfortable with that truck. I'm assuming even with 18-wheelers, you would have trucks that you're more comfortable driving. So somebody who's been driving their truck for 15 years, the same one, would be more comfortable in there, and then an employee who's only been driving your truck for 4 months. But the cons with the variable loyalty and the contract risk, I think that outweighs the pros for owner operators, so I would hire employees. But that's my time. Thank you for listening and have a good day.